On today's episode of Build Out with Jim Kunkel, my guest is Julie Richardson from ARIES Building and president of Fort Worth chapter of Oilfield Connections International, or OCI as the organization is known in the global oil industry. Julie and I will have a conversation on women business leaders, strategies for leadership, and we'll also cover the mission and activities of the Fort Worth chapter of OCI. Okay, let's get this Build Out with Jim Kunkel episode started. Hey, Julie, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Really good. I appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you for Build Out. This episode will go up onto my YouTube channel, and this is a great opportunity for the viewers of my channel to get to learn a little bit about yourself, learn about OCI, Oilfield Connections International, and then as we get into the discussion of women business leaders, strategies for leadership, I think we're going to have an awesome conversation on the topic. So in starting out our conversation, let's focus on Oilfield Connections International. In the mission of the international organization, the Fort Worth chapter's mission. And if you could also talk about your role, the activities, the networking, and the meetings that the Fort Worth chapter offers to its members and to the industry.
Sure. Oilfield Connections International has just taken off tremendously this last year. Sarge Summers started this off as our founder. The purpose in the organization was to create a networking group with also a set of mentorship within the oil and gas industry. The service side of what our chapters do is, local to our communities. But the purpose in general was just to add value to our network connections within the oil and gas industry, our community, and the people we connect with in whichever manner that is, social media, the different platforms out there. But as we get together, we have monthly meetings and we network and we connect with people that we can help, whether they're looking for a job or whether they're looking to build their brand individually or as a company representative. We're stronger together. And that's kind of the concept behind it.
Yeah, years ago, well, really not a long time ago, because with the history of the OCI is relatively within the last number of years. But, we have a mutual friend in Sarge Summers. Yes. And, really when the early days of your chapter, and then also too with Sarge with Oilfield Connections International, to really see where the organization has grown globally in its mission. And right now in the current environment that we're in, it's so critical that OCI has an amazing outreach into the oil industry, but also too, it's a great opportunity for those who are seeking employment, those who are looking to expand their roles and responsibilities, or even learn new things. This is a great networking opportunity through OCI. And, for you, you're the president of the Fort Worth chapter. So you've got you're filling filling in the shoes of some big leadership that had come prior to you. How does it feel to be the president of the Fort Worth? The Fort Worth chapter?
That's okay. I'm completely honored. It's a new role for me. I've been with the Fort Worth chapter for the last year, working as our, just on the leadership team in the role there, supporting Dave Harris, who was our past president. But they've recently just asked me to step up into the role of president and kind of make some changes and help the group to grow, help us to reach out to build our networking circle larger. I travel quite a bit with ARIES, so I do have a lot of connections in the oil and gas industry. And when I'm out and about, I talk to people. You get to where you recognize, the different company names, and then you know this one from Fort Worth and this one from South Texas and West Texas, and it's a collaboration. I mean, we're all going to the same type of events, but when we do Oilfield Connections as a meeting itself in our local areas, it's trying to bring those people together so that we can share information. I mean, we can build off of each other's knowledge of the industry and how it's growing and the trends and the ticks. Where we see, changes happening. So it's really good. You get a good collaboration of information, leads. A lot of the people I talk to in the group, we'll sit and just say, where are you working? What are you doing? What's going on in the industry that, I may not be aware of that your company is doing. And and it's kind of just a time to sit down and feel those things out on a casual level, but with some format as well, because we keep the meetings, we have a guest speaker who comes to encourage us and lift us up, and it is Christian based. There's a lot of motivational speaking, and half the time that that motivational speaker for the month is just what you need to get you through the rest of the hustle and bustle of your week. But the goals are really just to build up a strong base of people that you can go to.
Excellent. And for those watching the episode, I will make sure in the video description, put a link to OCI, Oilfield Connections Incorporated. And then I believe, if I'm correct, would your chapter have a listing?
Yes, we do have a page. We have our chapter page, so you can click straight to that.
Perfect. And this way, if you want, you're in the area, you want to be involved with OCI Fort Worth, this is the opportunity to do that. And then also to any international location or in domestic location as well, because the coverage is absolutely amazing right now to see. How many chapters roughly are there?
I would be lying to guess. So
that's okay.
It's growing so fast that almost every major city, and it's pretty widespread. Every major city that you go to has a group. The ones I've been to are in Oklahoma City, Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Midland, the Permian Basin. There's 2 of them down there. Louisiana has several. So they've just kind of grown. Atlanta has one. East Texas area has a couple. So everywhere you go, I mean, there's a group to kind of pull yourself into that you have connections with. So like ARIES is growing nationwide. So anywhere I go with ARIES, there's also an OCI group to connect with as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very awesome. So let's go into the one of the first topics, related to, women, business leaders, strategies for leadership. Sure. And let's talk about the 2020 trends that are going higher for women CEOs. Now, earlier you shared with me you had gone through your contact database and that, you were looking for women leaders within the industry, and you came up with a number, but again, not the number that most in the industries would like to see.
The truth of the matter, I mean, the oil and gas industry in itself is comprised of so many different facets. And when it comes to, the oil and gas companies themselves, I could only think of a handful of women that I'm connected with who are actual CEOs of major oil and gas companies. But when it comes to the service industries and the hospitality industries and the different companies that round out the oil and gas companies' needs, there are some women in the leadership roles there. It's a little higher number, but right at those, O&P numbers, I really didn't see a lot of CEOs, and I wish there were more. I looked back at my notes from the first female in the U.S. oil company was back in 2016, Miss Vicki Hollub. So it's only been since 2016 that we've had one female CEO in the oil and gas industry. There have been several since. Paula Harris is at DMP Alliance Energy. There are a few out there. It's just not. It's not the numbers you'd like to see. You would love to look at and see a greater influence from the women, women in leadership in the roles in there.
Yeah. And during 2020, research had been done, and it does provide some encouraging news in that with the S&P 500 companies, CEO positions held by women rose about 2% over 2019.
Yeah.
And then, women assumed CEO positions with companies such as UPS, Clorox, Citigroup, CVS, Dick's Sporting Goods. So we are seeing a trend going where numbers should be when it comes to women business leaders. How encouraged are you with that type of information?
Outside of the oil and gas industry, I see the growth. I see the growth happening. I hope that translates within our industry as well over the next few years. I do think that the acceptance of women in those leadership roles is changing. The perspective of that is changing drastically. I think it's not the old boys club that it used to be. I think the women, the women that get in there are standing on their own 2 feet and holding their own with their knowledge and their information that they're able to, provide to their company for growth. But the companies that are out there, I would challenge them to look at the direction of, like Bumble and the leadership there, and you've got Spanx, and there's different companies that are growing tremendously and are women run and owned. We have a lot of women leadership within our own company of ARIES. I'm proud of that. Miss Katie Roman is our new one of our new presidents in our company, and so it's nice to see the growth. It's nice to see the changes taking place. I would say the collaboration of leadership within the team as a whole, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's just a matter of the ability to do the job, to get the job done.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. It's really, not looking at the gender of a person, but really looking at, the performance of the team. And then obviously there's going to be those that step up and take the leadership roles. And, back to that study done with the S&P 500, the trends in the future are looking really well because, during the study, they looked into the structure of the management team and the executive team, and indications were very strong that across the board, when it came from management all the way up to the top executives, there are enough in the pipeline when it comes, let's say the word pipeline, in the pipeline for women to rise into these CEO positions and everything like that. In really looking at the topic regarding trends and everything like that, yourself, you are a president of the Fort Worth chapter. What recommendation do you have to young professional women who are looking to assume leadership positions, if it's in an organization or within a company?
It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what role you're in, what job you're doing. I think persistency and knowing that you have a job to do, having a little bit of humility about going towards, the future in your role with the company, but also confidence in knowing that you're able to do the job. I always have told my girls, and I have 2 girls and a son, you're as good as you want to be, and you're going to grow as much as you let yourself grow. You are as strong as you convince yourself to be. So I think for women, your strengths, but also know your weaknesses. Go in there, play your hand for what you have and what you have in your abilities and your capabilities to do. You demonstrate your capabilities with grace and leadership, and you put all that you have into one barrel and do the best job that you can do. I am writing a book about women and play like a girl, just to encourage women in leadership to be yourself and to do the things that you do well, not necessarily to edge on the fact that you are a woman, but to earn your spot. To do the role and to do it well enough to be recognized for your skills and abilities, and for there not to be exceptions need to be made because you're a woman.
Very good. In fact, in our next topic discussion, one of the things you mentioned, which is basically play your strengths, not your weaknesses, is in the top 10 recommendations when it comes to for women, emerging women leaders to kind of take into account and use into practice. So appreciate that insight there.
Well, thank you.
Julie, what a great conversation we're having. So let's talk about the 10 tips for emerging women leaders. And this 10 tips came from Mac's list. And for the viewers, I'll put the link for the article in the video description. But what this was for was to provide these 10 tips for women looking at leadership positions. And the first of the 10 was practical resilience.
Yes. Resilience is key. I mean, you have to hang in there. You can't give up. You can't quit. I mean, you got to get up every day and do it again. You work hard, you work harder, and you continue to press on no matter what you're facing. So that resilience is key.
Definitely key. Number 2 was have humility.
Absolutely. This one's higher on my list than even the resilience. I think the humility factor makes us, human. It shows people that we are personable, that we are easy to approach. I think it's something you have to have no matter where you're working, no matter what industry you're in.
And it can be difficult to acquire and to practice.
Yeah.
And then number 3 goes back to our previous conversation. To play your strengths, not your weaknesses.
Yeah, you gotta know what you're good at and what you're not. You have to be able to, get other people who are smarter than you in the right position, so that the team can excel as a whole. And that's my motto is you have to, if you're going to develop a team to grow, you have to know who to put in the right places and who not to. Capabilities are huge, and people are different in what they're capable of doing on different levels, and we need them all. We have different abilities and different personalities for a reason, and I think they all uplift each other. So.
And the fourth tip, which I think is very, very important, is to be of service to others.
Yeah. This one is another key of knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. I think if you're not being a service to other people, then you're kind of wasting your time. I think the motto you have to have is being committed to service, being committed to people. Being a service to other people is what is going to help you grow personally, because you always feel better when you're doing good for others.
And I think with your leadership position with the chapter of OCI, you're living that, you're showing that. And I think when it comes to that service and commitment that the organization does for the industry,
they're a constant encouragement. I love seeing what all the chapters are doing. So.
Number 5, this is really hard to do sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Take risk.
Being a risk taker. Well, you have to be brave. You have to be bold. You do have to, get out there and sometimes do what you're uncomfortable with. And in that respect, it's a little risky. You never know how you're going to be received or perceived by different people in different areas, but I say walk in the room and act like you own the place. And I take that with a grain of salt. That doesn't always apply, but having the confidence to speak on a level, with the CEO, but also being having the humility to sit down and talk with the janitor too. So being on a level where you can be kind and be nice and be respectable and professional on every level. So
very good points there. And then the number 6. And this could be risk-taking as well, is to find mentors. You want to make sure you find the right mentor.
I don't think that's risky at all. I think that's the smartest move you can make. Honestly, some of my greatest mentors have come out of my work environment and OCI as well. Katie Roman, who I mentioned earlier, she is one of my greatest mentors. If I'm struggling with something or wondering how to put something, I will give her a shout and call and see, play this by you real quick before I react to it. And within the OCI group, Sarge, being the founder of a group like this, as large as it is, he texted me this morning just to see how I was doing. He checks in on his people, and you got to have people like that in your life. You got to have, I have a John Robinson who is, our veteran of affairs for the national level. And he calls and talks to my husband. He calls and talks to me. It's just, you have to build the connections that you have with people who have been through it and have the experience that you may not have. Collectively, John Robinson's been in the oil and gas industry 6 years. When I have a question, I go to the man who knows. So it's beneficial. So
true. And number 7, this is one that I definitely prescribe to, which is don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah. We're all unique for a reason, and we can't compare ourselves to other people. You have to do your own thing. You do it well. You have to kind of keep blinders on, because one person's job is not the same as another's, and even in the same roles within different companies, their focus may be different than yours. Their drive may be different than yours, and what you're working on may have nothing to do with theirs. I always say people get tied up in that one too much, especially women. I think we tend to be a pay attention to me kind of society, but it's more of a let me pay attention to you kind of society if you want to turn it around and use it to your benefit.
I like that aspect of turning it around. And then number 8, which is demonstrate strength with great grace and kindness. That also too is something that has to be really, kind of from the inside acquired, but also practiced heavily.
I couldn't agree more. Grace and kindness are going to be the characteristics in people that draw you into them. Anytime if you can't confront somebody and talk to somebody on a human level and have compassion and understanding when you're having a conversation with them, then why are they going to ever come back to you again? You have to be kind, you have to be graceful in the way you handle people and the way you handle your business, to retain business, to retain customers, to build a relationship with people rather than a portfolio. So I think you take care of your customers, you take care of your employees in the way that you would take care of your family. So
excellent. Number 9, offer support, not criticism.
Yeah. Well, support and criticism, you have to be able to accept both, but support is much more important. I don't know if you've ever seen the studies of, how people respond to constant encouragement versus one criticism. I think sometimes people let a one slight criticism tear them down to a level that they have a hard time recovering from. So I say be very careful. We know very little about what someone's dealing with in their life personally, and how that plays out into their professional career and what's going on in their life that day, that week, that month. I say we give people the gentleness that we would expect in return. So
yeah, you can almost work in empathy in that.
Yeah.
Well.
You have to understand we're human, and humans by default, are not perfect. So.
And our last tip, which is one that's very important, it should probably be number 1, is to take care of yourself.
I do. I think that one should be number 1, because if you're not taking care of yourself, then it's very hard to take care of your business and other people. It falls right up there with, knowing yourself and knowing your strengths. You have to have a work-life balance. I think you have to be able to know when you need to retreat a little bit, to take some time for yourself with your family, put them first, but you're also working to support your family and to know that that's important as well. I do. I think that's knowing to take care of yourself and knowing when to turn it on. I say turn it on full speed. You can do that for a while, but you don't want to burn out. You don't want to get yourself so wound up in what you're doing that you lose sight of what's important either.
Hey, Julie, if you could do me a favor, if you could go into a little bit about ARIES Buildings, what the company does, what it provides into different industries.
ARIES is committed to quality service. We have a commercial design manufacturing building system in place. We do modular buildings, we do classrooms, yard trailers for the construction industry, workforce housing, a lot of turnkey man camps for the oil and gas companies out there. We also do disaster relief buildings, along the coast. We try to work with refineries along the coastal lines and help them with storage containers and extra space. Anything you need to do with a building, ARIES has got you covered. We're a growing company. We are nationwide. So I can get you in contact with a service or a salesperson in any state. So for projects out there, we love to work with you. We have financing options. We lease buildings, which I always thought was interesting. You can lease a building on site for a while. But we're privately owned, so it's been growing since 2012. But ARIES is dedicated to the customers and what they need.
Oh, that's excellent. That's great to hear that. In the video description, I'll make sure that I put a link to the website and also to Julie's contact information to reach out to Julie if you have questions or if you would like an opportunity to take a look at what ARIES can do for you. Julie, Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
No problem. And have a great day.
You too. It was really nice to meet you, Jim.